Welcome back to Women in the Making. I'm your host Nia Desai, and today we are diving into a conversation that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about success, self-discovery, and transformation. My guest today, Richa, says, embracing glitter as a favorite color isn't just about shining on the outside, it's a reflection of embracing individuality, eliminating one's true self, and daring to stand out in every aspect of life. From navigating cultural shifts as a first generation immigrant to becoming a business leader and empowering others, today's conversation promises to be bold, raw, and most of all, real. Please help me welcome Richa. Richa, welcome to Women in the Making Season 3. I'm so glad you were able to make it this season.
Yes.
We've been trying to get together for 2 seasons now, so I'm happy that we are able to do
Finally
that today.
doing this
Yes.
together. Thank you so much, Nia, for having me on the show. I'm so excited.
It's all my pleasure. Richa, you come from a multi-family household and you were the oldest of 8 siblings. And I've read your story. How did those young days of acquiring leadership skills and, being the oldest sibling get something into your mind to become what you are today?
I think those were some of the very foundational years when those natural leadership skills and taking responsibility got in me from a very young age. Being an oldest of 8 siblings and living in a multi-generational household and being a girl child
Yes.
too, I was always looked up to being the responsible one from the very young age. When we were going to the elementary school, when I was in the 5th grade, from pre-K until 5th grade, there was one kid from my household in each classroom. So every
Wow.
time one of my sibling wouldn't finish their lunch or they had unfinished homework, their teacher knew who to call, who the older sibling was.
Wow. And your parents are absolutely extraordinary. They taught some values that I don't want to speak up. I would like to hear from you something that you mentioned.
But one time I was having lunch with my older son's head of school. And she asked me a very insightful question. And she said, "Hey, Richa, what would you change in your parenting style from your parents?" And I had never thought about that and parenting style and how would I change. And then I thought about it for a second and I said, I would be actually very lucky if I was able to provide the same parenting style to my kids as my parents did.
Wow.
So I remember my dad always told me that I'm the oldest, the firstborn. And he always told me, you are my firstborn son and you can do anything that you want to do. You can become anything you want to become. And for my mom, all 3 of us, it was same. I do not care as much about your grades, but when it comes to being the right human being, that's where it's non-negotiable. You can never cheat, you can never lie, and never steal.
Wow.
That is all I care about. First, become a good human being, and rest of us is going to follow. Rest of it is going to follow, but first think about becoming the right human
This
being.
is mind blowing because as parents, and how many times, how many kids can actually vouch like this the way you have done today? In today's world, we see people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, but there's something that lacks is empathy, compassion, and that respect. And I
Right.
think you've brought that so beautifully about your parents, and you're raising 2 beautiful boys just in the same way. So you're doing an incredible job.
Aw,
And you
thank
should be
you.
so proud of yourselves. Richa, I was thinking about this question that successful women, especially those in the public eye, like yourself, face the pressure to be perfect. Perfect leaders, perfect moms, perfect entrepreneurs, and perfect wives.
Right.
Do you feel that this pressure is what drives women to burnout? And how do you push back against those expectations in your life?
That is an excellent question, Ania, and it has been really hard. And perfection, I don't think it's that much of a pressure to be perfect from outside world. That is a very much self-inculcated pressure that I have to excel in everything that I do. And it's not easy. I want to, when I'm at work, I'm extremely competitive. And also, I like to do good work.
Right.
And I like to grow. I like to get recognized for my work, and it doesn't come cheap.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Especially if you work in a tech environment and everybody is extremely bright
Competitive,
and everybody
yeah.
is competitive, right? When I'm at home, I want to be a great wife, a great mother, do all the right things. And one day I was thinking about it that my dad, he's a very successful entrepreneur and a leader and fierce in what he does. And then my mom was an amazing homemaker, and I was trying to be both of them in one. And that was not an easy feat, and it has always been a challenge.
Yeah.
My husband is a big grounder. He grounds me a lot, and
Yeah.
he asks me to pause and slow down. Last year, I was diagnosed with hypertension. And it was all of a sudden, I was in emergency. And it has been a tough pill to swallow for me. Okay,
We
that
don't
you
realize when
can't,
this
yeah,
comes up.
you can't just go on. It burns you out.
It does.
And it is important to take those breaks. It's important to slow down. It's important to, when you are just sitting and just enjoying the nature or just reading a book, it's not a time waste.
It's very important to have the right allies, because there are some people who are jealous of you, and they will probably be meaning to pause you. At the same time, there will be people in your life who exactly know where you're going,
Right.
and they want to pause you for a positive reason. And I
Correct.
think to find that tribe around you is the most important. And like you mentioned about self-care, I think self-care now comes in shapes and forms and sizes and ways to explore. And for me, self-care is going on a hike.
Yeah.
And where my phone is not buzzing, where I'm cut out from the whole world, my husband
True.
knows where I'm going. That's it. And those 5-6 hours are the most precious self-care for me, because
Right.
my thoughts are aligned,
Yeah.
my mind is aligned, and my body is aligned, and I feel wholesome.
Yes.
I feel complete. Richa, I want to talk in segment 2 about balancing.
Right.
And I have had so many women come to my podcast, and we've spoken about this, that we want to be that balanced mother, balanced wife, balanced in our work. But we could be good at one thing, but we could be lacking at the other.
Right.
And we are, as women, are judged more harshly than men. And I have seen that forever. And do you think women in powerful positions get criticized for being bad moms or absent wives more in ways that men never do?
I think this is another space where women, I work in tech. So in that industry, and especially the larger companies that I have worked at, Microsoft and Kaiser and at F5, we had good mix of women. But at the same time, we need to speak up and voice more. We tend to take a lot more upon ourselves.
Yeah.
I remember when one of my early jobs at Microsoft, the first day, I've joined a new team, and I get a call from my son's daycare. He was 1 year old at his daycare that he's running 103 plus temperature. I felt so bad and miserable. As a mom, I wanted to be there as soon as possible, but as an employee who had shown up for work for the first day, I felt so
Yeah.
bad. Now I have to go and tell my manager. I felt guilty for being a mom.
Yeah.
And I have to go and tell him that I need to go. And my husband was traveling at that time. He was out of town. Actually, he was out of country.
Yeah.
And so I went to him. I gathered all my courage. I was like, it's okay. I need to show up right now. I have to be there for him. It doesn't matter. I went to my manager and I told him, hey, I need to go. I got a call from my son's daycare. And he could read my face. He said, first, sit down for a second. And he said, I need to tell you something. We are going to work for a very long time. I want you to understand I have 4 kids, and one of them is special needs. I'm there for them. My husband, my wife and I, we both run the household. We don't have any families. I know you come from India and you don't have any
Yeah.
immediate families here. And same is the case with me.
Yeah.
And so in my team, everyone knows that they can show up whenever they need to for their family. And that's the kind of feeling I want you to have. I've been blessed to have leaders like that who have shown me that kind of path. And when I became a leader, I always purposefully told my team, I'm going for PTA, I'm going for my art show, I'm going to shop for my kid's art project, or I need to go for a doctor's appointment for my son. So that they also understand and being open about it so that they also understand that they can take
Yeah.
time.
That's so well answered, Richa. And, this question was not framed in a negative way, but it's very important in our life to also have great men allies. And just like Richa said, we have some fabulous men allies. So
Correct.
it's not about you do that and we do that. I think it's together we form a team that is unstoppable. And we all need to realize that as men, they do something different that caters to their life, and as women we bring something different.
Absolutely.
And but together we are so more powerful. um, this is a question that I like to ask everybody who comes, and just because to see the perspectives are different from different women, is women can have it all or they cannot have it all. Do we start acknowledging something that we always have to give in first, whether it's family, career, self-care? Isn't expectation of having it all, settling women, keeps us for failure? Or do you think it just doesn't make sense?
Oh, but this is another one of my favorite question to answer. I always like when somebody asks me that question because women can have it all, but not all at the same time.
I love it.
And this is learned by my own experience. I was working as director of product in Fortune 50 company, and running a team, launching global products and global team. My son's school gets over at 3 o'clock. At 2:50, I would start winding down my meetings. That 3 to 4 is the time when I go and pick up my kids from
Yeah.
school. And then 4 o'clock, I'll come back, and if there are leftover meetings, I will get to them then. Most of the times, meetings don't end at 3 o'clock.
Right.
3:05, 3:05, 3:10, or 3:10 sometimes. I would always be running from them to pick up my son. And I would text him and message him, hey, I'm on my way. Please stand outside. We are late to pick up my other son already. So be ready when I arrive to your school. One day, my son, as he walked into the car, he says, Mama, I see you juggle so much. All my friends have nannies who come to pick them up. Why don't you just hire a nanny? And I was like, Ariman, that would be the easiest thing for me to do. But I don't want to trade off seeing your face when you walk into the car when I pick you up
I love that.
with anything else. I love to ask you that question, how was your day, Ariman?
Yeah.
And only for that, I do what I
Yeah.
do. And maybe I'm trading off. Yes, no one likes to get away
Yeah.
from work in the middle of the day. And maybe I'm trading off being the vice president of the company, CIO of the company, or CEO of the company. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I am very happy in the role that I am in. And I'm happy to make that trade off to be able to spend this time with you and your younger brother while you both are here with me.
Yeah. No, I have goosebumps. I've been a mom. I've worked in corporate and I've quit. I've done multiple entrepreneur journeys, and here I am. And it's never been easy.
Yeah.
My kids are so used to seeing me that I think if the day that I'm not there or I travel, the first question that they ask my husband is, where is she? They
Yeah.
just forget that
Yeah.
mom was traveling.
Yeah.
They just have seen me from morning when they leave and the time that they come. That doesn't mean every person can do that.
Correct.
But it was my personal decision to
Exactly.
be around
Exactly.
and do that, whether I was working or whether I was an entrepreneur. And I
Correct.
cherish that.
Yeah.
Because I also believe that one day they're going to be gone.
Absolutely.
And I will not get to relive these moments.
Yes. And I also think that there is, again, when I do these things, showing up as a mom, there's no stigma.
No.
I'm not doing it because, I'm expected. Because this is, again, the self-inculcated pressure
Correct.
on me that I need to be there for my kids. I will miss it. I don't want to miss it. But at the same time, I don't want to not be that the good employee or the good manager or good
Right.
kind of not be there for my team or the work that I'm expected for. So how do you balance? That's the tough scale to balance.
So true. I wrote something that chasing balance is a myth. What we should be chasing is alignment, aligning our careers, our choice, and our happiness.
Yes. So spot on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Richa, you mentioned that finding your footing in America as an immigrant was like solving a puzzle. Can you share some of the most difficult challenges you had that you had to overcome to be what you are today?
Right. So, wow, that was a while back, yet I remember it still gives
We
me
came around the same
same
time.
time and still gives me goosebumps when I think about those days. I have engineering and MBA educational background. I was working as a successful employee in India, corporate world, and everything was going great. And then I get married, and I was so excited and thrilled to be in Seattle at Tech Hub and to be working in a new culture, to settle in a new culture, and experience all of this
Yeah.
newness of marriage as well as great partner and a new place. I come here, and then I suddenly realize that, oh, I cannot work until I have an employer who's willing to sponsor my visa. So, not just that I have to interview and prove myself, but also find an employer who would sponsor my visa.
Right.
So, it starts with learning about the culture, learning about the nuances, finding an employer. And then you are in a place where people don't look like you. They are not, you don't have your tribe, friends and family. You left all of them like continents away. And so now you are in this world where husband is off to work. You are qualified, but you can't work. You are trying to find your footing here, and then you don't have friends or family.
Right.
So I started offering pro bono work as product marketing manager to companies that needed my help. I started volunteering into organizations, local organizations, to kind of get more engaged in the community, the work culture, and such. As well as I formed Club Butterfly,
Yes.
the group where we met, right? It
That's
was a
right.
group of
That's
girls.
16 years back.
18, 16,
17 years back.
17,
Yes.
18 years back, right? That was group of women who looked like me, who came
was
from
so
these
amazing.
like backgrounds, who were also trying to find their footing in this
Yes.
country. And it just
The
empowered
community was very small that time
that
too.
time, yes. Well, I'm glad that we found this group, great group of friends who we would meet and laugh together and share our experiences.
So
And it
true.
just felt like I have someone if I wanted to call and hang out with and have a coffee with or
True.
go for shopping with. So those were some of the things that helped me then in finding my footing here and becoming and taking control of the
Yes.
situation.
Richa, you mentioned something in the previous segment that you've emphasized value-based parenting over rule-based parenting. How do you emphasize this with your kids currently to think they might take this forward?
Correct. So, value based parenting, and when we think about, or when I personally think about value based parenting, it is not something that I can teach them. It is something that I have to live myself. So, I have to live the values that I truly believe in
I love
and
that.
hope and pray that they are soaking that in. So, I try to live my culture. I think of that as a hook that makes us who we are today, and the philosophies that Hinduism has, not the structured religious concepts,
Yes.
but in philosophy. What does Hinduism mean? What does spirituality mean? How should we be kind to each other? Be empathetic with each other, and if we are empowered and if we have the resources, then help other people who need help.
But I love the fact that you are incorporating, teaching them your native language, teaching them and have them learn about Hinduism and spirituality at a young age. This is something that I have been trying to do with my kids a little bit, is teaching them a little more about spirituality and giving them encouragement on, how the earth revolves, and, small things like before we sleep, we do a small thank you note to the
Right.
universe.
Right.
And we make it into a very fun way.
Yeah.
I know we've covered so many different aspects in this particular segment, but there's so much to talk to you, Richa. And I think this particular question, I'm going to read it. I want to make sure I get it right. Mental health in corporate culture is still taboo. Even with all the talk of wellness, right? So do you feel like companies genuinely care about employee well-being? You've been into the leadership positions as well. Or it is just a lip service to avoid legal issues and keep workers' complaints?
I think it is when it comes to mental health, to each its own. Company is there just to provide some resources, yes, so that they can say that, oh, we have provided all the tools and resources. They will provide you subscription to mental health doctors where you can call and
Right.
schedule meetings anytime or sessions anytime. They'll provide you in-house services. They have gym, spa, everything in the
Right.
building on site. But it is up to you to prioritize time
I agree.
and take time for yourself. It is up to you
100%.
to call that another call. Sometimes when I was at Microsoft,
Yeah.
the mental health happens or the relationship building happens in those small pockets of time
I agree.
that you have in between those work sessions. That's when the real bond, the connection happens. Otherwise, we all are busy in our lives. But again, to each its own. It's on the employees. Companies have given their all the resources that
Yeah.
they can, but to each its own.
And I 100% agree, even though I asked this question. Richa, I've been reading about you a lot more than you've mentioned, and somewhere you said that you've started to live a minimalist lifestyle. And that is really hard, especially in today's fast paced world where everything is glitz and glamour, right? Everything is a lot of showbiz. How do you really navigate yourself in that world and even be consistent staying in that way?
Correct. And so the minimalism is a way of lifestyle. I could not doing it with one thing and not changing the other. And I was not true to being minimalist. And it started with trying to change diet for all of us in the family and what are the right things to eat and nutrient. Both my kids are allergic to certain food groups. The consumerism was weighing down
Yeah.
on me. Every day there are no new skincare products
Yes.
infused with something or the other. It was becoming hard for me. I was in my 30s. Am I applying the right product? Cream, day cream, this serum, that serum, before cream, after cream,
Yes.
cleansing lotion, cleansing
I was part
oil.
of that as well.
Oh my goodness. So I started that, how can I simplify this? And you will not believe I was spending almost upward of $600 in those creams. And still every day I would wake up and I'd be looking in the camera. Oh, is it better now? And so I was like, this stress is going to kill me. It doesn't matter how much money I'm spending,
Yeah.
but it is working or is it not working? And then I went back to making my own skincare products.
Wow. That was very helpful. I think anybody who's watching will be quite inspired. It's hard to live that life, but I'm so glad you've chosen that and your kids are following and your family is following. I want to transition into a different question for you that you spent like 2 decades in the corporate world. And was it easy to walk away boldly from a corporate career and be an entrepreneur? How did that mindset shift work for you? Was it, am I going to be scared or am I going to be good enough to be an entrepreneur? Like, what was the thought process when you made that move?
Right. And thank you again for asking that another great question. I have also not analyzed that, but I have definitely lived through it. Entrepreneurship is something that has always been with me. My dad is a very successful entrepreneur. My husband is an entrepreneur. I applied for a scholarship program from Cornell, and I have a degree in women entrepreneurship. Yet I was scared to pursue that path for myself. I was doing well in corporate. I was doing good work. I was being recognized. I was getting promoted. So all was great. And I was able to be a great leader, as well as balance home as well. Then I took a sabbatical last year. I had worked for more than 20 years, and the plan always between my husband and me was that if everything is right, if we can afford, if then when our son, before he starts high school, I'm going to take that year off just to prioritize being with the family. I took the sabbatical, and then I did this project for the mayor of Bellevue on women entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I met with so many amazing women. And with entrepreneurship, again, the fear is there is a lot of money on the table. that
There
I'm
is.
bringing with as being a corporate, working in corporate.
Yes.
And so I will not only be foregoing that, it's a lot of risk. So taking a step back,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
And then I don't know the future. And it was a huge risk.
Yes.
And when I met all these women who I talked with on to do this study on women entrepreneurship, I realized that many of these women, they may not be making as much as what I was making compared to that in my corporate culture. They were very happy, content. They had flexibility. They could prioritize if they have to go take their parents to the doctor's appointment, they could step out.
Yes. I love that.
When I saw that, I was like, I'm going to regret if I don't do this. Just because I don't know if I will succeed. And that's what I want to teach my kids too. Like, follow your dreams and passion in a calculated way. Don't be stupid. but where you think you can,
Yeah.
go for it. Don't
Correct.
think too much. And maybe this is going back to the value. Everything, it's a circle, right? It comes back. If I'm trying to teach them something, that's something I should be ready to live as well.
Right.
And that was the time when I said, even though, yes, letting go of that salary was a big thing, but I'm excited to be on this journey and be able to now live my dream and see what comes out of it.
Yeah. And so that's how Koshay is erupted.
Yes.
Richa, you mentioned your core belief is leave the earth a better place. What does this mean in terms of the work you do, the people you meet, both personally and professionally?
So, leaving the earth a better place than I found it. So, that's what my core belief is. And when I think about building or having my legacy, first of all, I think my kids as my biggest legacy. So, I want to build the right value system in them, empower them so that they are bringing a lot of other people along with them on the journey as they grow. So, build kind of leave this earth with two better human beings. That's my biggest legacy, and what I want to leave on this earth. And second is building, empowering the community of people who I meet with, who I work with, who I can help and support in any way I can.
Yeah.
Where my experiences can help them, where my knowledge can help them, where I can be of resource by building connections, by guiding them, mentoring them, teaching them, so that they can go on to build better lives for themselves. So that is what my core belief is
Beautiful.
is to leave the earth a better place than I found it.
And I found it. That's the key. And I absolutely love that because not everybody says that. And you've emphasized the importance of spiritual grounding. So, how does spirituality guide your decisions and your life path currently?
So spirituality this is something that I never thought about in those terms.
Of course.
And now I'm getting to a point where I think about these things, and spirituality is something which is about believing in something in a bigger world, in something higher than us, in a higher power, in unendingness of something else. And that's what I believe in. That there is somebody else out there who's watching us, who's taking care of us, there are coincidences that happen. They are not random acts. There is something that is happening. We are part of something bigger. And having that faith and belief empowers us so much.
Yes.
And makes us take risks that we would not otherwise. Science cannot answer everything. Science has a limit to it.
Yeah.
But when we believe in something bigger and a higher power, it empowers us that, okay, we are going to be okay. I'm going to be okay.
True.
Things are going to be okay. It's okay for me to take risks. There is something else that's going to take care of me. And that gives us that confidence. And we are able to harness on this energy that's around us.
Yeah.
When we put something out in the universe, I truly believe in that.
I agree.
That universe helps us in meeting our goal. And there are
if you
those,
truly believe
if you
it from
truly
your-
believe in
believe
it,
it from your
there will
heart.
be signs. You'll meet random people.
I did a virtual podcast yesterday where this woman mentioned that she was at the edge of committing suicide. She was standing at the edge of a shore, almost about to dive inside to die, and she's aware, and she's asking universe for a sign that why should she not do that. And in that moment, she mentioned to me that I get a text message from an old friend who she is not connected in years. And he told her something very special about her, that why she's special. And she said, how on earth can this be happening? That was the sign.
Wow.
I mean, this is
Wow.
craziness to the core, and I had like goosebumps.
I'm getting
I have
goosebumps
tears in my
just,
eyes,
yes.
and I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I asked the universe 3 times, screaming out. I was looking like a
Yeah.
fool standing
Yeah.
at the edge of the shore. I wanted to commit suicide, and here I get a text from somebody,
See?
out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, you were never meant to do that, and I'm
Yeah.
glad you're here with us
You're-
talking about it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And those things happen, and you just have to believe in it.
Just believe in it.
Even in your worst situation in your life where you're about to give up,
Yeah.
don't give up.
Yeah.
I have to say that. Don't give up. There will
Yeah.
be times in your life where you feel like the world has come to an end and the world around you has shattered and your dreams have shattered and you are no good. And if those things are coming to you, remember
Yeah.
that one person who thinks you're special.
Yes.
And that's all it's
Yeah.
going to take for
Yeah.
that moment to matter,
Correct.
to change that decision forever. Richa, your journey challenges so many traditional paths. And I always believe that ambition, as much as it's celebrated, there's also a side to it, which is loneliness, self doubt, contemplating and overthinking, overanalyzing. Do you think stories like yours are unsettling for many? Because success might not look for everyone in a certain way.
You have to find your own success, what it looks like. And yes, the journey is, again, that is why I say always find the allies, people who you can trust in, who are going to be there by your, then the journey will not be alone. Then it will not feel lonely. It doesn't matter. Success is different for, it is
Everyone.
very individual. And what success is for you, it doesn't, I think success is anyways is a very, I don't like the word success. It is about living a meaningful life,
life.
emotionally content life. That's what you want from life, that it is fulfilling for you. And to have it, yes, if it is being successful is what is emotionally fulfilling for you, then yes, just so be it. Then go and then be ready to whatever price you need to pay. But then that will bring the contentment because you know that that's what is important. You're investing in what is important for you. But whatever is the case, always have those allies near you by your side because they are going to make your life extremely fulfilling and you will never feel lonely.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. And I heard this somewhere and I don't know who said that, but they said that some people come in your life for a reason and come stay for a season. But who stays the most is what matters the most.
Right.
And it has stuck to me so deeply that is so true.
Yeah.
Right? And you never know when these paths will cross again.
Yeah.
And look at you and me. Richa, we are coming to the end of the show, and I think this is a full episode where we've learned about health, wealth, care, kids, mental health, entrepreneurship, business, corporate world. Like, we had everything in it. So I hope you got the most of it. But before we wrap up the show, this is the final segment, and it's one of my favorite, which is the rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yes.
It's quick, fast, and quirky. Would you ever go back to the corporate world for a $1 million offer?
No.
Is burnout a badge of honor or cry for help?
Cry for help.
What's one controversial opinion you have about corporate life?
It's fun.
What's a secret nobody knows about you?
Oh, I have been wearing the same robe for the past 17 years probably.
We all have something like that in our closet, but that's good to know. What's the worst business decision you've ever made?
Closing the library business that I opened with both my brothers when I was 12 years old. We shouldn't have closed that business.
Oh, that's sweet. What's the most toxic thing about Indian family expectation around women's careers?
That they have to be a great mom, always there, like that managing the household is their responsibility only. Great daughter-in-law, great wife, just be everything and be a working person as well.
Hike, bike, or walk?
Walk.
With that, we are done with this beautiful episode with Richa. Richa, thank you so much once again for coming. I had my absolute pleasure and honor to have you.
Thank you so much for having me on the show, Nia, and giving me an opportunity to share my story with you and with your audience. It's been amazing.
Thank you so much. Just like glitter, every facet of life has the potential to shimmer when viewed through the right lens. As we close this powerful conversation, remember that your story is being written every single day. It's not about where you are right now, it's about where you're headed. Richa has shown us the path isn't always straight, but it's yours to walk. Embrace the highs, the lows, the uncertainties, and trust that your resilience will guide you. Until next time, stay bold, stay resilient, and always be a woman in the making. Please don't forget to follow, share, like, and subscribe.